Hello, everybody. I am Samantha Harms with the Garrison Public Affairs Office. And on this week's episode, we are talking with the 1st Cavalry Division's new Command Sergeant Major. Very exciting stuff. It is summer, which means lots of changes are happening. So we're looking forward to hearing what they have to say about what they want to do while they're here. So let's get into the episode. You are listening to the Great Big Podcast.
Hey everyone, this is Eric Franklin with your Garrison Public Affairs Office, and today on the podcast we have the 1st Cavalry Division. We have their new Sergeant Major, and we have a new co-host. Tell me who you are.
Yes, I am Devon Allums, and I'm with 1st Cavalry Division right now, so it's a pleasure to be here.
All right, and Sergeant Major, how are you doing?
I'm freaking Cav-tastic.
Oh my gosh. Sergeant Major, go ahead and introduce yourself for me real quick.
Hey, so my name is Command Sergeant Major LaVarge J. Jackson Sr.
All right, Sergeant Major, and where are you from?
I'm from a small town called Lima, Ohio, the Bean City.
What is the name of it?
The Bean Town.
The Bean City. Why is it called Bean Town?
Most people will confuse it with Lima, Peru, but it's not. It's Lima, like the Lima bean. So we call it the Bean Town.
Okay. How long have you been in the military?
So I've been in the Army now 27 years, 9 months, and on or about 27 days, but who counting?
And so for you, what are the biggest things that you are expecting over the next your tour here?
So the biggest thing I'm expecting over the tour here is to continue with the historical importance of this organization. The importance of this organization leading our Army to the new future of modernization, while also continuing to develop new fighting and warfighting skills. So my importance in that is to assist the commander by leading the non-commissioned officer corps to ensure that we get after those tasks, to become a lethal organization that when the Army calls upon us, we will strike and strike fast.
Okay. I like, so let's back up. What was your MO? What is your MOS before you became Sergeant Major? Because I know once you become a Master Sergeant, you become a Zulu, correct?
Yes. In my previous MOS, I was a 19 series. I was a tanker and a cavalryman, so I'm a true armor cavalryman. But now, being a nominative Sergeant Major, I'm immaterial. I'm just a Sergeant Major.
He's like, I'm just a Sergeant. I mean, it's not just. I mean, you still have a job that most people can stay in the Army 20, 30 years, and sometimes they won't see that. So it's not just a Sergeant Major.
It's an honor to be the 34th 1st Cavalry Division Command Sergeant Major. That's a true honor. There's only been 34, and there only could be one, and I'm it right now.
That's good. I have a question for you. So, as being the one now, what do you have? What are you looking to bring to some of the NCOs? And a question I really want to ask you is that, what is a vital life lesson that you've learned coming up through the ranks, and how can some of the E4s or even some people outside of the Army in civilian life use that life lesson in their life situations that they're going through?
So I found that in life, I'm a spiritual person. I have a spiritual background. And I found in life that the good Lord has put people in my life for a reason, a season, and a lifetime.
Okay.
And I've learned that people are like a ping pong. You bounce back and forth. And what you have is a choice to either stick with the bad ping pong or the good ping pong, right?
Yeah.
And if you allow the good Lord to guide you the right way, you will choose and make the right decision. So if anything I'll tell you is to always have some sort of spiritual background, because when all else fails, you can go to that higher deity and lean on them to help guide you in the right direction.
Coming into the military sometimes can be hard to adjust from different lifestyles that you've been into. So you can tend to get in some trouble sometimes, or, have a problem adjusting it. So I want to ask you, how would you teach your NCOs and people in the ranks to basically give soldiers, or that one or two soldiers that are kind of having that rough time, to give them a grace? To everyone needs that one leader to basically get back on their feet.
So I stated it in my speech. I will lead with standards and discipline.
Yes.
Sympathy, and as well as empathy.
Yes.
Because there are things that I have not ever experienced, so I have to have that aspect of empathy. But
Yes.
I have to have the sympathy of the aspect of the things that I've been through.
Yes.
And I've been through a lot of things in my own life. And sometimes we tend to forget where we came from and the mistakes that we made. And we see ourselves as current, not as who we were in the past.
Yes.
So if we can always remember, as I always said, as I've been a leader, I always bring up Private Jackson.
Yeah.
If Private Jackson can understand it, if Private Jackson can see it, it's probably something that we can understand and do. But if Private Jackson don't understand it, it's probably something that we're probably not hitting the park on.
Okay.
And I would recommend that to all leaders.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Okay. So, Sergeant Major, just for you, this isn't your first time in the Central Texas area, is it?
No, this is not the first time I've been in the Central Texas area. I was here many moons ago. To be truthful, it was about I left here 19 years ago before I came back, almost to the month.
Okay.
19 years ago. Fort Cavazos is a phenomenal place to be. I tell people that all the time. You know, you're in Central Texas.
Yeah.
You can go north, south, east, and west and hit something great.
Yeah.
This is one of those few places you could pull up and say, hey, I want to do the barbecue trail. You don't get the bourbon trail like Kentucky, but I can do the barbecue trail, right? From the top of Texas to the bottom of Texas. You need to work out in between the east, but it's phenomenal opportunities. And I totally believe that this place is a great place for a reason.
Okay. What unit were you in 19 years ago? So you were either in the 1st Cav or you were in 4th ID?
I was an Ivy soldier at that time. I was an Ivy soldier. I was in 367 Armor, Alpha Company 367 Armor from 2099. Well, correction, from 1999 to 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you were here when they had the huge welcome home party on the front lawn down there.
Yes.
That was, I have never seen anything like that since that day.
Yeah. It was a great experience.
Yeah.
I had never seen anything like it in my life either. But hey, who's to say it's the last time you see it?
Yeah. Yeah.
First Cav is here, and we looking to do some great, wonderful things. So look forward to things that we can build upon. But that was a great event,
Yeah.
and we'll look at see what we can do to make that even greater.
What are what would be your top 3 or top 2 things that you expect or that you want to get accomplished over your tour here?
Number 1, I would love to strengthen the non-commissioned officer corps on our training abilities, understanding that we train individual, team, and crews. And if we can master that, we will give our commanders and we'll give the Army everything they need to have a lethal organization. Number 2, I would love to create better human beings. If we can create better men and women, we'll create better soldiers, troopers, family members, husbands, fathers, and everything else, mothers and all, if we can just create better human beings. And number 3, I would like to make this organization not the number 1 organization, but the only organization that you think about whenever you think about us going to war, that it would be the number 1 forefront and the tip of the spear.
Okay. So, you say you want to build outstanding leaders, non-commissioned officers. How would you describe the role of effective communication in building trust within your unit?
So I is an acronym I used in a paper that I wrote in my former life, and it starts off with competence. You, the non-commissioned officer, have to be competent in the job and skills that you have, competent in the knowledge that you understand about the Army systems and programs. Yeah. And that competence will lead to trust. People trust you when you're competent and know what you're talking about. They will trust you and believe that you are going to lead them and tell them the right thing that you do. And then lastly, through that trust, you build communication. And the communication goes back to the trust, which goes back to the competency. And when you have those 3 things there, you have a outstanding soldier and you have a lethal organization through that aspect of those 3 things. So I will first start by being competent, understanding and knowing what I'm talking about before I go in front of them. Yeah. And I'll build the trust of all troopers in the 1st Cavalry Division. I'll continue to try that every day. And then the last thing, I want to communicate and be clear with them, just like we're doing over this podcast. I want to be clear about everything. I don't want to hide anything. We're going to be transparent and lead without that aspect.
I'm Ron Smiley with a message from the Fort Cavazos Army Substance Abuse Program, ASAP. As we enjoy the summer months this year, we must think about effective means to keep our community safe. A key ingredient to this process is always engaged leadership with a plan. The Fort Cavazos leadership and the ASAP are committed to ensuring we meet this challenge with our Summer Sense campaign, which runs from Memorial Day through Labor Day each year. The theme of the campaign each year is Keep It a Safe Summer KISS. The goal of the campaign are to heighten awareness and reduce alcohol-related incidents so often related to the summer months. We have already suffered several traffic losses this year around the country due to alcohol-related incidents. Every one of these losses could have been prevented. We must stress to our soldiers, family members, and civilians in the community that high-risk behavior has a strong potential for high-risk consequences, such as injury or even death. Please take measures this summer to stay safe by not driving, swimming, or boating while drinking alcohol. Remember, in Texas, drive sober or you will get pulled over. For information on events related to this campaign, please call 287-7575 or look us up on our Facebook page. Thank you.
So you guys, you have a NTC coming up. The division's going to NTC here shortly. How is the? I know that's like summer camp for seasoned NCOs.
No, it's like phenomenal. It's phenomenal to go to NTC. I know a lot of people dread going, but it's phenomenal. I mean, my first 2 NTC rotations, I was like, oh, I hate this place.
Yeah.
It's crazy, 45 days. But when I left out, I was happy and I had great stories to talk about. You know, when I climbed the mountain in the tank and I got so high up that the OC was like, hey, y'all got to turn around. Like, you're not supposed to be up here. Like, hey, I proved the point that I can get a tank that high up.
Yeah.
Like, you know, those things like that made it great. And now I also was an OC out there. So I did 16 rotations as an OC doing different things. And to watch a organization go from thinking that they're great to struggling and putting those things together and being coached, taught, and mentored through those struggles, and then at the end state performing at the highest level that they could ever perform at, that is the phenomenal part about it, to watch yourself grow, right? I watch myself grow through every rotation that I participated in at the NTC. And that's the great part about it when you get to the end. Share hardships, right?
Yes.
We all been through them, right? You go through those shared hardships. That's what we talk about over dinner. We don't talk about the easy times. We talk about the shared hardships.
Yeah.
And that creates trust and friendships for lifetime.
So, you know, where all have, so you've deployed, you've been at Fort Stewart, you've been here at Fort Hood, you've been at NTC, Fort Cavazos, sorry. Where all else have you been, and what have all those places taught you and taught you over the past 27 years?
So I've been to Fort Benning, which is now Fort Moore, Fort Knox. I served as a drill sergeant. Fort Benning, I go back to Fort Benning. I served there as a first sergeant, and then I came back again as the Armor School Sergeant Major. I served at Fort Riley, Kansas as a brigade sergeant major. I served at Fort Carson as a squadron CSM. And, I think that's it. Fort Stewart twice. So at all those different locations, I was blessed to have the opportunity to understand institutional knowledge and then operational knowledge. And those positions all gave me who I am today. The institutional knowledge allowed me to apply doctrine and train and teach doctrine and teach by standards, right? And it also taught me how to input change into the way that we train and teach other leaders, right? So I put that into concept, and then I took all that I learned and how to teach, train, and mentor. And then I came out to the force, the operational force, taught, trained, and mentored the soldiers and civilians beneath me, which created a better environment, right? So now I put those two together, and now I feel like I'm an all right leader. I'm a pretty rounded leader. I'm rounded. I'm not one-sided. But those jobs, specifically institutional and operational from those different locations, made me a better leader.
So, and what type of, from all of that, what would be the biggest takeaway that you'd have for that young E5 who just pinned on E5 or who's just getting ready to pin on E5 next month in the beginning? What would be the top things that you would tell them?
Number one, I'll tell you that the Army has a standard. Don't make your own standard. Understand that one. Number 2 is, as you lead understanding your people. Know your people. Know your troopers. Know your soldiers. Know them.
Yeah.
And by knowing them, I mean there are 3 things that every soldier wants. They want to know, do you know me as an individual? Do you know LaVaris Jackson, right? When I come from Lima, do I have brothers and sisters or whatever? Number 2 is, do you know my family? Did you know that I do have a father as well as a mother, but I've lived with my mother for my majority of my life, which I was raised by my grandmother, right? Do you know them?
Yeah.
Do you know anything about my parents or my sisters and brothers? And then the third one is, can I trust you, right? And build that trust through the things that I said before. Be competent, which will create trust.
Yeah.
And trust will create communication. And you put those 3 things together. And I tell you, if a sergeant can do that at the sergeant level where rubber meets the road, they will be very, very successful. And their troopers will be very, very successful as well.
You know, I have a lot of stories from my time in the Army. When you mentioned your NCO, as an NCO, you mentioned knowing your soldiers. When I was at Fort Stewart, I was in DISCOM, Division Support Command, and we had our Sergeant Major Tony Bridgewater. He would call. I got in trouble. I don't remember what it was that I did, but he called me into his office and he says, "Give me your mom's phone number." And I'm like, "What?" And he's just like, "Give me your mom's phone number." So he sat there and he dialed it on the phone and he's talking to her. He's like, "Miss Franklin, do you know what your son?" I can't remember what it was, but he called her, and to me that was what an NCO was for me. He called my mom. He didn't yell at me. He didn't yell at her. He's just like, "Hey, I just wanted to see what's going on. Why would he think that was okay?" And I was a brand new private, so everything that I knew about the Sergeant Major was, you don't want to cross this guy. And so I just felt, for me, that was kind of what set the standard. And I've talked to Sergeant Major Bridgewater over the years now. He's been retired. He's way been retired. But it was just those moments that set the standard for the NCO. That's like, oh man, when I become an NCO, that's the type of NCO I want to be. I want to be one that knows my soldier and is like, okay, give me your mom's phone number, or give me your dad's phone number, or give me your sister's phone number. I want to know why you thought that was the right thing to do. And I know it was something simple, and he wasn't trying to get me in trouble, or he wasn't trying to make fun of me. He was just trying to prove a point. Like, I want to know who you are. And so I think knowing your soldiers is great.
Sir, I tell you, that's a great story. Those are significant emotional events.
Yeah.
And nobody could tell you how many years ago that was, right?
Yeah.
But you remember him, right?
Yeah.
And I tell you, there are many, many stories in my life that are similar to that one. And it always brings to my mind, right? You had an isolated incident as a private. I had an incident as a young corporal where Sergeant First Class Manson and Mary Manson, Sergeant Manson told me, "Hey, we're going out to dinner tonight." And I was like, bet. So I go home, I tell my wife, I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to dinner with Sergeant Manson tonight." I'm thinking, hey, all Army is just males in Army.
Yeah.
So then Sergeant Manson called me and said, "Hey, are you and Katina ready?" And I said, "Well, Katina, you said we going to dinner." And he's like, no, yeah, we going. I said, I got 2 kids, right?
Yeah.
Young corporal, 2 kids. He's like, "I know. We're going to dinner. Me, you, Mary, and Katina." And I was like, "Oh, shucks." Ran the house, told my wife, "Hey, you got to get dressed. Like, we go all going to dinner." So then, we get ready. We get the kids ready, and we ready to go take the kids to dinner. We thought we were going to McDonald's or something. They show up all nice dressed, and I'm like, "Oh, I'm underdressed."
Yeah.
And at this point in time, they're like, "It's okay." And they say, "All right, we got a babysitter for the kids." And I said, "Oh, wow. Like, you seriously got a babysitter for my 2 sons, your 2 sons, and you and your wife are taking us out to dinner." And they took us out to dinner, and they had dinner with us. Yeah. And one of the things that they stayed constant in their communication was, guess what? When you have to take off this uniform, who's going to be standing next to you? And they kept reiterating to me that family was important. Yeah. Family is important. Family is important. And I still, to this day, believe that dinner helped me become the father and the husband that I am, because I always bring it to my front mind.
Yeah.
In the end, who's going to be next to me?
Yeah.
And, my boo thing, she's still riding with me, 27 years later, dating for 30 years, she's still with me. So I thank them for that one. So I totally understand that significant emotional event in my life.
All right. Did you have anything?
Yeah. Just really quick. What is this is marital advice you have to young married soldiers? Like one thing you could just give them.
Marriage is a compromise, but you have to learn and understand from the get-go.
Yes.
What are the things that will not be compromised?
Yes.
Right? And then you have to honor that one. You have to honor what will not be compromised. So you have to understand that when you compromise in your marriage, it is for the right reasons, right?
Yes.
Because guess what, man? I may want to sleep on the right side of the bed because that's where I always slept.
Yeah.
But once you get married, it ain't about what you want. It's about what's best for the family, right? The right side of the bed may be away from the door.
Yes.
And me, myself, as a husband, I believe, hey, man, I want to be closer to the door. But I'm going to tell you right now, Ms. Jackson said you won't be close to the door. I will be.
Yes.
And I've been like that for 27 years, right?
Yes.
But I always keep my eye on the door, right?
Yeah.
So I've learned to sleep on my right side versus my left side over time.
Yeah.
But it's a compromise.
Okay.
And then the last and final thing I'll tell you about being married in the Army is this.
Yes.
It's not about the amount of time that you give to your family. It's the quality time that you give to your family. So if you're just off, you're at home playing a video game or you're doing something else or you're working on your cars or working on your motorcycles and that's all the time you giving and you're half giving your family the time, you're probably struggling.
Yeah.
It's the quality. When you can shut everything down and give that family member or the whole family, all of you,
Yes.
is where it counts. And then I've learned this latter part of my career, Sergeant, that really probably messed up the first part of my career was the fact that you would never be able to balance out and be a balanced 50% family and Army.
Yeah.
But what you have to do is learn to balance it properly. So I'm at work right now. I am 70-30. I'm 70% Army and I'm 30% family, right? And then it may go up or down, fluctuate. But when I'm with my family, I switch that nozzle to where the importance is.
Yes.
The importance goes to my family, and they go 80%. The Army go 20%, sometimes 10%.
Yes.
And you learn to balance that where I am and what I'm doing has helped me to be better with my family because I've learned to do that with my family. And it's phenomenal once you figure it out, right? But, you know, it'd be dumb of me not to tell you that after all these years of messing it up, right?
Thank you.
I learned to balance that one.
So what I'm hearing, this is going to help you out. Is what I'm hearing is he doesn't like late night text messages and phone calls. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
Nobody like late night texts and phone calls, but if it's important,
Yeah.
I am 100% pick up the phone. I prefer for somebody to pick up the phone and call me
Yes.
and say, hey, just what, Sergeant Major Jackson, I'm in first cav, and I'm drunker than Cooter Brown down here, and I need a ride. And I'll be like, okay, can you drop me a pen? I really don't know where everything is around here anymore.
Yeah.
And I'll come pick you up.
Yeah.
You know? And if I had one or two drinks myself, I'll be like, hey, baby.
Miss Jackson, I need some
Let's
help.
go, you know. And she'll drive and pick you up, but she won't say nothing the whole ride, I promise you. And then when you get out the car, I'll get all the business. But we are dedicated to being there for the troopers and family members of this division. That's who we are.
Yes.
Okay. And just last thing that I have for you, I know that there is a new commander. First Cav is getting a new commander here in July. Do you know him?
Yes, Major General Admiral. He will be coming in July. Yes, I do know him. I've served with him in the past. Matter of fact, we served together in Afghanistan.
Okay.
Phenomenal leader. He is truly a tactician and a great trainer. All about, creating a lethal trooper for the Army to use when need be, right? And he will ensure that we are the best of us that we can be every day. He drives towards that aspect of, being a band of excellence.
Okay.
He wants you in the band of excellence as a human being, right? So to be the best version of yourself every day. And he'll push for that real hard.
Okay. The only other thing that I have first, did you have anything else that you want to close out before we get out of here?
No, I think it was great.
Sometimes we get people who come on the podcast all the time, and then sometimes people's schedules gets chaotic. Sergeant Major, what would be something that you would want to share across Fort Cav? I wanted to say that.
That's okay.
It's Fort Cavazos. I knew it was going to happen. But what would be one thing that you would want to share with soldiers across Fort Cavazos, and then just the broader audience as a whole about serving?
So I would like to start with the name that you use is Fort Cavazos. Right?
Yes.
I will ask anybody who's thought about coming to Fort Cavazos to read up on the man, General Cavazos.
Yes.
He is a phenomenal human being who was dedicated to training the Army.
Yes.
Not one side or the other, but dedicated to training the Army and ensuring that the Army was prepared to do what was called upon us. But if you read in his bio, they always state that he never missed the opportunity to stop and talk to a soldier or a trooper, because he was driven to making people better. And he knew if his time was valuable to stop and talk to troopers, it was important to that trooper and important to the Army, because every trooper and soldier is needed to help our Army move forward. And if I wanted to do and leave anything behind, I would tell you that every trooper, every DA civilian, and every family member a part of the 1st Cavalry Division is very important to us. And if we can do anything to help you become better human beings and remain part of our Army and our team together, being the first team, America's first team, remember that, we will love to support you and help you become a better human being.
Okay.
And allow your legend to become part of our legend. That would be our end note.
I like that segue in there. That was pretty good. Again, we'd like to thank you for coming out and have a good day.
First team, live the legend.
When new soldiers are assigned to your unit, get to know them. Show them around.
The exchange, health clinic, fitness center, whatever.
Encourage your soldiers to grab meals together and talk about their lives. Shared hardships and life experiences build cohesive teams with fewer instances of suicide, sexual assault, and drug abuse. And units that are ready for the fight.
You know, the 1st Cavalry Division, when you think of Fort Cavazos, you have to think about the 1st Cavalry Division. And, you know, for you, how long have you been in the 1st Cav?
I've been in the 1st Cav for about 5 years, going on 6 now.
Whoa.
So
That is a long time.
yeah.
The expert.
What's so funny about it is I was in the same battery, same section, like just a lot of people moved, but I didn't move at all. So it was, very interesting.
Wow. Yeah, so that's crazy. So for you, so you've seen 1, 2, dang. So you've had 4 command sergeant. You've been here longer than the last 3 command sergeant majors.
I have.
What?
I have.
So you could teach the sergeant major a thing or two about the 1st Cavalry Division. Then maybe
I would like to say that, but their skill and knowledge, it exceeds mine, definitely.
Don't want to get ahead of himself over here.
he's like, nah, I don't want to have that.
Seems like a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
I'd pass on that too.
Yeah,
Maybe the pay.
yeah, oh yeah,
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
the pay.
Yeah.
Even I would take that. But for you, how was that, being able to talk to your division sergeant major and just, you know, fill him out?
It was definitely so I just want to say the first off, like his intro into coming into it from his change of command. I was there, so it was definitely a good feel from seeing like many other people, and especially sharing the same faith as him and being open with that. That was kind of exciting for me. And I remember being in the formation telling my friend, I'm gonna work for him, and it just happened that it kind of fell along those roads. So and then being on the podcast and getting to talk with him, it was super cool, because some of the things that he's went through, I've seen some of my junior enlisted go through. So he was very open about that, being able to like share some of his experiences. So it was awesome.
Okay, cool.
Oh, I love that.
See, we're bringing things together.
We are. The podcast is just working wonders.
Working magic.
It is.
Speaking of working magic,
Ooh.
what magic is coming up for the rest of this month?
You know, I got a lot of things for us.
I know.
So today, Thursday, what's the date?
It's a day.
Yeah, it's a day. Okay, so for people who are using Military Health System, MHS Genesis, the patient portal has changed the name of Fort Hood to Fort Cavazos,
Okay.
which is important. So if you're searching for things, you got to search for Fort Cavazos.
The correct one.
Yes, this is important to know. If you need more information on that, you can call the hospital, Carl R. Darnell Army Medical Center. Got to do it like that every time.
The first time.
Don't lose one of the words. Do you know their phone number?
I know their appointment patient
I know
line.
you know what it is. Okay, so if you need help, you can call them at 254-288-8000.
What?
I know.
I've never
not
heard
all
of that
the
number.
eights. Yeah, this is just if you need help for that. So, but that being said, if you want to make an appointment,
288-8888.
all the eights.
All the eights.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, so that's important to know. For people who want to do stuff like Eric and I do, which is work for the federal government, the Fort Cavazos Civilian Human Resources Agency is going to be hosting a Federal Employment 101 for military spouses. They have a course coming up on June 20th from 5:30 to 7 p.m. And then another course July 25th from 9 to 11 a.m. So they're going to talk about spousal hiring preferences, the advantages of federal employment, how to navigate USA jobs, how to apply for something, some resume facts, job application myths. There's so much that they talk about, which is why it's an hour and a half. So highly recommend that class. So if you want to register, because it is required, if you want to go, you have to register. You're going to call 254-288-2004. That's how you're going to pre-register for that.
We had them on
We did.
a couple of weeks ago, and I learned so much. You know everything, but I learned so much.
Yeah.
I say Sam knows everything, but we kind of know enough.
Yeah, between the two of us.
Between the two of us, yeah,
well,
we got
now
it
it's
covered.
got three of us here.
Yes.
We our resident first Cav expert over here.
Exactly. Yeah. So now we have that.
So now we got that. So yes, but if you want stuff, I would recommend going back and listening to that previous episode. We do talk a little bit about the class and why people should go. But yeah, so that's coming up. And then Freedom Fest.
Freedom Fest.
We're almost there.
Oh,
We're almost
excited.
to Freedom Fest, and we can tell you who our entertainers are now.
Yes, so we can.
How exciting. Would you like to share the news?
No, you share it.
No, I'm going to give it to you.
Okay.
I
So
know.
I'll say two, and then you say the one that I don't say.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So we're going to have
So suspenseful.
bowling for soup.
Bowling for soup.
They're pretty cool.
I love bowling for soup.
I do too. Then we're going to have Tone Loc. Now, for you guys who don't know who Tone Loc is,
AKA me every time we talk about this.
Yeah, well,
I always
I'm
forget.
kind of lost in the sauce.
Thank
but-
you.
What?
See? I'm not the only one.
he's if you grew up in the 90s, you know who he is. This next guy, drum roll please. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Sam?
Vanilla Ice.
Yes.
All right.
Do you know who Vanilla Ice is?
I do not.
How old am
Ice baby.
he said
No, okay, there we go.
There it is. That's all it took.
okay.
that's all we
that
have to
song
do
is copyrighted by Vanilla Ice, not by us.
Yeah,
we
we
do not
haven't.
own that.
at
Just
all.
want to clarify that real fast. But yes, Vanilla Ice is coming.
Okay, this is gonna be exciting.
Yeah, I'm
Yes.
excited.
I like Freedom Fest because they bring a lot of different bands out from a lot of different genres, and it's just amazing. It's a great time. I get to see a great show, get to eat great food, and get to hang out with a bunch of great people.
I know. Yeah, I'm really excited. Last year, I got to see a band that I hadn't seen in forever, Cassidy Pope.
Yeah.
And now I've never been able to see Bowling for Soup live. So I'm pretty thrilled.
Yeah,
This is going to be pretty exciting for me.
it's pretty cool.
It's exciting.
I don't care about the rest of y'all. I'm just excited for me.
I'm gonna have a good time.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a good time.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, that's
Yeah.
coming up next Friday,
Yes, the 23rd.
the 23rd. Wow, that's
I know.
just-
It's crazy how soon it is.
Then you know what happens on the
not.
July 1st?
What happened July 1st?
There's a station that I like to watch on TV. I'm not going to name drop, but they have Christmas in July.
You're kidding.
Yeah, you didn't think I knew that?
I didn't know that.
Yes, we'll
Oh,
talk about it.
So, okay, so this is totally not relevant, but only relevant to that.
Yes.
So in 2016,
Mm-hmm.
my dad and I We went to Joint Base Lewis McChord because that's where I was born back in the day when it was just Fort Lewis.
Okay.
So we went on a vacation there, and we were up in Seattle hanging out. As we were driving around, we were just like cruising through. I was cruising through radio stations just to like listen to one.
Okay.
We went in July or August, and what do you know? There's a station that only plays Christmas music year round.
All right.
My dad was very upset about it.
He was
did
not
not
pleased.
appreciate it at all, and I loved every second.
That's good.
Man, yep.
Car jams.
That's right.
The only reason why I know that is because that station is the only station that plays Golden Girls, and they take Golden Girls off to play nonstop Christmas movies in July.
I love
wow.
that.
Extremely upset about that.
Yes, well, I'm excited. I thought you were gonna say that it's gonna be the city of Colleen's 4th of July is on July 1st.
There's two.
Yeah, I thought that's what. You
And
were
we'll
gonna-
be there too.
Yeah.
There's so many. So for those who didn't know, the reason why we changed the Freedom Fest is so we can go and we can partake in everything across the community.
Yeah, there's gonna be soldiers from First Cav at pretty much everything.
Yes.
Definitely.
So you could look out for soldiers from First Cav. So City of Colleen's is on the 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Belton is on the 24th of June.
Mm-hmm.
So the day after ours. The City of Temple is actually on the 4th of July.
Oh,
Those are the only ones
rebels.
I know off the top of my head.
They said, watch
That's
this.
what I got. Yeah. So you've got a little bit of everybody
Yeah.
doing it on all of the different days. So you can just parade hop, essentially.
Yeah.
Fireworks hop. Go from
Yeah.
fireworks show to fireworks show. That's how I'm going to be living my
And have
life
a
for
good
the next
time.
2 weeks.
Definitely bring
So.
sunscreen because it is
Oh, yes.
extremely hot.
Good point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes. Safety. Summer safety.
Yes.
Drink lots of water. Wear sunscreen. Make sure you are staying in shade.
Yes.
Watch out for your pets, your plants,
Mm-hmm.
people. So if you know people who have some sort of or need extra care, like kids or elderly people, make sure you're watching out for them. Check in with them
Yes.
And have a good time.
and have a good time. I love that.
And make sure you drink
That's
water.
Great. Yeah, that too.
All right. That's all we have, guys. I'd like to thank you for listening to the podcast. Is there anything you want to close out with?
No.
Oh, no. Always do that.
Yeah,
I want something.
we're good.
Do you have anything?
I just want to say it's been a pleasure, and I hope you guys enjoy this podcast.
Ooh, I love that. Great ending.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Cavazos and Fort Cavazos Public Affairs production. Have a question or want to share some of your wisdom with us? Drop us an email at fortcavazos@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Fort Cavazos Army. And as always, be sure to leave us a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.